In a world where emotions run wild and everyone fights to be heard, your silence is the ultimate power. It's not weakness, it's strength. When you choose silence, you separate yourself from the noise. You become the one they can't stop thinking about. She expects you to explain, to defend yourself, to react emotionally. That's what everyone else does. But when you remain calm, composed, and silent, it creates mystery. It forces her to question herself, to wonder what you're thinking. Your silence speaks louder than any words could. Most men try too hard to impress, to explain, to justify. But a real man doesn't beg for attention, he earns it through his actions and his restraint. Silence makes her curious, makes her respect you, and ultimately breaks any attitude she might have. In a world of over-explaining and emotional outbursts, your silence is different. It's power. It's control. It's the thing that makes you unforgettable. Handle yourself like a man, speak only when it matters, and let your silence do the rest. Silence is often misunderstood in today's society. People equate it with weakness, submission, or a lack of courage. But in reality, silence is the most powerful response you can give. It shows that you are not driven by the same impulses as others. It shows discipline, self-respect, and a level of control that most people can't even comprehend. When you choose silence, you're saying, without words, that you don't need validation from anyone. You don't need to argue, to plead, or to justify yourself. And that kind of strength is magnetic. It pulls people toward you, especially those who are used to dominating conversations or controlling others with their emotions. In relationships, silence is a tool that few men know how to wield correctly. It's not about ignoring someone or giving them the cold shoulder. It's about showing restraint and power. When she tries to provoke you, when she tests you, your silence communicates that you're not here to play games. You're not going to let her, or anyone else, dictate your emotions. Women respect a man who doesn't react impulsively. They respect a man who can remain calm even in the face of challenges. Your silence forces her to confront herself. It creates space for her to reflect on her own actions and words. It shifts the dynamic in your favor because you're showing that you don't need her approval or attention. And this applies beyond romantic relationships. Whether it's at work, in social situations, or even with strangers, your silence will always carry weight. It's an act of defiance against a world that thrives on chaos and overexposure. People expect noise, they don't know how to handle silence. When someone argues with you, they're trying to pull you into their frame of mind. They want to control the narrative and dominate the situation. But when you refuse to engage, when you simply remain calm and silent, you flip the power dynamic. Suddenly, they're the ones scrambling to fill the void. They're the ones who feel uncomfortable, exposed, and uncertain. Silence creates mystery. It makes people wonder what you're thinking. It makes them second-guess their assumptions about you. And in that space of uncertainty, you gain the upper hand. This is the essence of Stoic psychology. It's about understanding that you can't control what others do or say, but you can always control your response. And sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need to prove anything. By staying silent, you show that you're secure in yourself. You show that you don't need the approval or recognition of others to validate your worth. The power of silence lies in its simplicity. In a world that moves too fast, where people speak without thinking, your silence stands out. It commands respect because it's rare. It's different. And it's exactly what makes you a man of value. The next time you find yourself in a situation where emotions are running high, try this: pause. Don't react. Don't speak. Just let the moment play out. Watch how the energy shifts in your favor. Notice how people begin to respect your presence, even if they don't fully understand why. This isn't about playing mind games. It's about understanding human nature. People are drawn to strength, and silence is one of the purest forms of strength there is. It requires no effort, no performance. It simply is. When you master the art of silence, you'll notice a change in how people treat you. They'll start to see you as someone who can't be easily shaken. Someone who isn't ruled by emotions or external pressures. Someone who stands firm, no matter what. And that's the kind of man who commands attention. That's the kind of man who earns respect without asking for it. That's the kind of man who breaks through the noise of today's chaotic world. Your silence will speak volumes, and it will do more to break attitudes and earn respect than words ever could. Choose it wisely, and it will become one of your greatest strengths. This isn't just a philosophy. It's a way of life. A life where you control the narrative, not through force or words, but through quiet, unwavering power. Silence is not just a response, it's a way of showing that you are in complete control of yourself and the situation. It's a statement that says, I am not controlled by your words, your emotions, or your actions. And this is what separates men who lead from men who follow. When you learn to embrace silence, you develop a presence that is impossible to ignore. People will sense your calm, your strength, and your ability to stand firm. In a world where everyone is desperately trying to prove themselves, your silence will make you stand out. It will make you unforgettable. Silence isn't passive, it's active. It's intentional. It creates a space where others have to fill the void, where they begin to question their own approach. When you are silent, the person in front of you is left to deal with their own emotions. They expect you to argue, to defend yourself, to react. But by not giving them that, you flip the script. In relationships, this is especially effective. Women are naturally drawn to men who can stay composed under pressure. When she tests you, when she challenges you, your silence will show her that you are not easily swayed. That you have nothing to prove. This kind of strength is rare, and it's magnetic. Most men fail because they speak too much. They feel the need to explain themselves, to argue their point, to defend their actions. But the moment you start talking, you've already lost. Words can be twisted, misunderstood, or dismissed. Silence, on the other hand, cannot be argued with. It's final. It's unshakable. Think about it. When was the last time someone truly surprised you by staying silent? Silence is rare because it takes discipline. It takes patience. And it takes the confidence to know that you don't need to justify yourself to anyone. Silence also builds anticipation. It creates tension. It makes people wonder what you're thinking, what your next move will be. This mystery is powerful. It keeps people invested in you because they can't predict you. And in a world where everyone is predictable, being mysterious is a form of power. But silence isn't just about withholding words. It's about mastering your emotions. It's about staying calm when others lose control. When someone raises their voice, when they try to provoke you, your silence shows that you're untouchable. That their words have no effect on you. And that's the key, control. The man who can control himself will always control the situation. Silence is your way of saying, I am in charge here. It's your way of showing that you won't be pulled into their chaos. This doesn't mean you should never speak. It means you should only speak when it's necessary. When your words will have the most impact. When they will be heard. Speaking less makes your words more valuable. It makes people listen when you finally decide to say something. In conflict, silence is often the most powerful move you can make. It disarms the other person. It leaves them with nothing to fight against. While they're caught up in their emotions, you remain composed, unbothered. This not only protects your energy but also gives you the upper hand. Over time, you'll notice that silence becomes your natural response to situations where others would react emotionally. You'll find yourself pausing before speaking, considering whether your words are even necessary. And most of the time, they won't be. This is the essence of being a man who leads with strength and presence. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to explain yourself to be understood. Your actions, your demeanor, and your silence will say everything that needs to be said. When you fully embrace this mindset, you'll notice how people begin to treat you differently. They'll respect you more. They'll value your opinion more. And they'll know that when you do speak, it's worth listening to. Silence is power. It's control. It's the ultimate tool for commanding respect and breaking attitudes. Use it wisely, and it will transform the way the world responds to you. Silence is a language of its own, one that speaks volumes without ever uttering a word. It creates a space where others feel compelled to fill the void, revealing their insecurities, thoughts, and emotions. This is where your power lies, not in reacting but in observing. When you choose silence, you allow others to expose themselves while you remain an enigma. In today's society, where quick reactions and emotional outbursts are the norm, silence is a rare and valuable asset. It's a reflection of your inner discipline and self-mastery. People who cannot control their words reveal their weaknesses, but a man who can hold his tongue is seen as someone who is calculated, deliberate, and confident. When dealing with others, especially women, your silence creates intrigue. It makes her wonder what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and why you're not reacting like everyone else. This sense of mystery keeps her attention because she cannot easily read or predict you. And that's the key, being unpredictable. Silence makes you unreadable, and being unreadable makes you powerful. Silence also shows that you value yourself and your time. You're not willing to waste energy on arguments, unnecessary explanations, or emotional games. It sets a standard that others must rise to if they want to engage with you. This naturally commands respect, as people begin to realize that your attention is something they must earn. In moments of conflict, silence is your strongest shield. Arguments are fueled by responses, by giving them something to react to. But when you remain silent, the conflict loses its energy. The other person is left wrestling with their own emotions, while you stay composed and in control. Over time, this disarms even the most aggressive attitudes. In relationships, silence can redefine the dynamic. When she expects you to react emotionally, your silence will make her pause. It forces her to reconsider her approach and reflect on her own behavior. It's not about manipulation, it's about showing that you're a man who doesn't let emotions dictate his actions. In professional settings, silence is equally effective. When others rush to speak, you can command the room simply by staying quiet. People will start to look to you for insight, assuming your silence means you're thinking deeply or analyzing the situation. When you finally do speak, your words carry more weight because they're rare and deliberate. But silence is not just a tool for external interactions, it's also a tool for self-reflection. In moments of silence, you gain clarity about yourself, your emotions, and your goals. You learn to listen to your own thoughts instead of being influenced by the noise around you. This inner clarity strengthens your ability to stay calm under pressure, make better decisions, and live a life that aligns with your principles. Over time, you'll notice that silence becomes a natural part of who you are. It will no longer feel like a tactic but a state of being. You'll find yourself speaking less and observing more. You'll discover that the less you say, the more people want to hear from you. This is where true power lies, in your ability to control not just your words but your entire presence. Silence allows you to create an aura of strength, mystery, and respect that few can match. It's a constant reminder that you're not like everyone else, that you operate on a higher level of discipline and self-control. When you master silence, you become a man who doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. You're no longer chasing validation or recognition. You're simply living with purpose and power, letting your actions and presence speak for you. This is what sets you apart in a world filled with noise and chaos. And as you continue to embrace this mindset, you'll see how people begin to gravitate toward you, not because of what you say, but because of who you are. Silence becomes your greatest ally, your most trusted tool, and the foundation of your strength. Use it wisely, and it will change the way the world sees you, and the way you see yourself. Mastering silence is mastering yourself. It's the ultimate declaration that you are not controlled by external forces, by fleeting emotions, or by the chaos of others. Instead, you stand firm in your own power, confident in the knowledge that you don't need to speak to be heard. In a world drowning in noise, silence becomes your greatest weapon. It shields you from unnecessary conflict, commands respect, and allows you to focus on what truly matters. It creates an aura of strength and mystery that others can't resist. When you embrace silence, you shift the dynamic in every situation. You're no longer reactive but deliberate. You show that you're not desperate for attention or validation, that you're secure in yourself. This is what separates leaders from followers, men from boys, strength from weakness. Let your silence speak louder than words. Let it define who you are, a man of discipline, purpose, and unwavering control. A man who doesn't need to shout to be heard. A man whose presence alone is enough to command attention and respect. In the end, silence isn't just a strategy, it's a way of life. It's the foundation of strength, the hallmark of wisdom, and the clearest path to true power. Choose it, live it, and let it transform you into the man you were always meant to be. Your silence will break their attitude. It will shift their perspective. And most importantly, it will remind the world that true power isn't in the noise, it's in the calm.